Imagine that we are standing at the threshold of ancient knowledge that has been forgotten or lost for centuries. People who lived thousands of years ago asked questions to which we still cannot find answers. These questions sound like echoes from the past, beckoning us to unravel their mysteries. Why can't we find answers to the riddles our ancestors left us? What prevents us from understanding their vision of the world? Today, we will dive into these questions and try to understand why mankind has not been able to solve many of the mysteries that have been troubling us for thousands of years. From lost civilizations to destroyed libraries, from the destruction of languages to philosophical riddles, let's explore what is behind the inability to find answers to these ancient questions. One of the most tragic aspects of human history is the loss of knowledge accumulated by ancient civilizations. Over time, entire cultures disappear, and with them books, records, artifacts, and even entire libraries that could give us answers to questions posed by people thousands of years ago. An example of this is the Library of Alexandria, one of the most significant repositories of knowledge of its time. It was believed that a huge number of manuscripts and texts containing scientific, philosophical, and historical knowledge were kept within its walls. However, in 48 BC, during the capture of Alexandria by Roman troops, the library was partially destroyed, and thousands of unique works perished. The same process of destruction encompasses other great civilizations, such as the Sumerians, Egyptians, Maya, and Incas, whose achievements in astronomy, mathematics, and engineering have been lost or forgotten. Natural disasters, wars, and natural processes such as erosion and earthquakes have made it impossible to preserve much of this knowledge. In the case of vanished civilizations, science and archaeology are not always able to restore everything that has been lost. The history of mankind is full of such tragic losses, and we still don't know how much great knowledge has disappeared forever. In addition to the physical destruction of data, there is another problem. A lot of knowledge was not recorded, but was transmitted orally. This makes saving information even more difficult. As a result, the oral tradition could not always accurately transmit knowledge to the next generations, which led to their distortion or loss. Even if we manage to find some evidence or artifacts, they may be so fragmentary that their interpretation may be incorrect. The technology of ancient civilizations was limited by the capabilities of the time. Ancient people did not have the tools that we have today, and therefore could not preserve and transmit knowledge with the precision and durability that we do. While we today use high-tech devices to record, store, and transmit information, for example, computers, cloud technology, digital archives, in ancient times, such capabilities were limited to manual means such as clay tablets, parchments, stone, inscriptions, and even oral tradition. The ancient Egyptians, for example, used papyrus to record essential texts, but papyrus was easily susceptible to destruction. It is known that many texts that were written on papyrus have not survived to this day. For the Sumerians and Mayans, the most important recording tool was stone and clay tablets, which survived better, but they were still destroyed by natural and human factors. Another example is the ancient Greek or Roman advances in science and technology. Even the greatest scientists, such as Archimedes or Ptolemy, have left us only small fragments of their works, and many of them may have been lost altogether. Without modern technology to enable them to disseminate and preserve their knowledge, we can only guess at the scale of their discoveries. Today, we know that many ancient artifacts remain hidden from us. Archaeologists cannot always find all traces of ancient civilizations because vast areas of land and ocean depths have not yet been explored. Only in recent decades have new techniques such as underwater archaeology, satellite research, and 3D scanning emerged to find hidden cities and monuments. For example, lost Mayan cities submerged in the jungles of Guatemala were recently discovered using laser technology. At the same time, the ocean remains one of the most unexplored places on Earth. We still don't know what its depths hide. Underwater cities, perhaps submerged by sea level change, or artifacts buried at the bottom of the oceans may be the keys to unlocking many ancient mysteries. It is also possible that there were civilizations in ancient times that left traces that we have not yet been able to find due to limitations in our abilities. Natural disasters such as earthquakes or tsunamis may also have played a role in destroying or hiding great civilizations. We all know about possible sunken cities such as Atlantis mentioned by ancient Greek writers, but there is no evidence that we have found the actual location of these mythical places. Many of the questions asked by people in ancient times were not only about practical aspects of life, but also about philosophical or metaphysical topics that we still cannot answer. For example, questions about the meaning of life, the origin of mankind, and the purpose and future of the world are topics that are still relevant today. Ancient philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and Confucius asked questions about how the world works and what principles govern human existence. But despite the best efforts of modern humanity, many of these questions remain without definitive answers. Philosophical questions concern not only religion and ethics, but also the foundations of the universe, the nature of existence, and life after death. We can certainly study nature, the development of civilization, and their interaction with the environment, but we cannot find simple and clear answers to questions related to the essence of man and his place in the universe. It is possible that ancient people, thinking about it, left questions not to get answers to them, but to stimulate the thought process and search for truth. The language barrier is one of the main problems when trying to understand ancient texts and, consequently, to find answers to the questions that ancient people posed. Even the greatest civilizations have left behind written monuments, but because of the difficulty of deciphering them, we lose an important part of history. One example is the deciphering of Egyptian hieroglyphs. For a long time, we could not understand their meaning until French scientist Jean-François Champollion deciphered the Rosetta Stone, which became the key to unraveling ancient Egyptian writing. Today, we face similar problems when trying to decipher ancient texts such as Sumerian cuneiform or Mayan hieroglyphics. These symbols are often too complex and polysemous, and even if we know their general meanings, an accurate understanding of the text remains elusive. In addition, older languages often did not have the words to describe the concepts we encounter today. In this context, much of what ancient civilizations recorded may be incomplete or distorted because of the limited vocabulary and concepts available in their era. Civilizations come and go, and with each fall of one culture, much of the accumulated knowledge disappears. An example of this is the Roman Empire, which left behind a great legacy of science, architecture, and politics, but with its fall, much of that legacy was lost. Power in Europe passed into the hands of barbarian tribes, and many of the achievements of ancient times were forgotten. With the advent of the Middle Ages, knowledge of ancient Rome and Greece began to be overshadowed by religious teachings, and scientists and philosophers were forced to adapt to the new conditions. Ancient knowledge was also lost when great cultures such as the Mayan, Inca, and other civilizations collapsed. When one culture collapsed, its knowledge was often not passed on to the next, but carried on only in myths and legends. Over time, as new scientific paradigms developed, many ideas and achievements were forgotten. Myths played an important role in the culture of ancient peoples, and sometimes the questions we seek answers to become part of the mythological structure. Myths often contain hidden truths, but interpreting these myths can be difficult. Ancient cultures often connected their questions and mysteries to deities, natural phenomena, and supernatural forces. Today, we try to interpret these myths in terms of science, which doesn't always provide the right answers. Often, myths have been rewritten to reflect religious or cultural changes, changing their original meaning. The theme of seeking answers to questions that people asked thousands of years ago touches on the deepest aspects of human nature and our quest to understand the world. In the process of this search, we face many obstacles that are difficult to overcome. The loss of knowledge due to the destruction of civilizations, the limited technology of the past, the language barrier, and natural disasters have all played a role in leaving many questions unanswered. Nevertheless, despite these challenges, the very attempt to find answers and unravel the mysteries of the past is not only a quest for knowledge, but also part of human nature, which has always sought meaning in the world around us. The riddles of antiquity continue to excite and inspire us to explore, discover, and ponder more about how ancient people perceived their reality. In the end, it may not be as important to get definitive answers to these questions as it is to keep searching and asking them. After all, it is in the search, in the questions, that the meaning of our existence lies. And who knows, perhaps one day we will find answers that will change our understanding of history and human nature. Subscribe to our science channel so you don't miss new videos that will deepen your understanding of history, archaeology, and the mysteries of antiquity. Stay tuned, and together we will continue to unravel the mysteries of the past.